My story with ultra marathons began back in 2015 when, as a little innocent and very naive 18-year-old, I decided to sign up for a 48-kilometer ultra marathon in the Swiss Alps with a whole lot of that. I think it was like 3,500 meters of elevation gain. Growing up, I was very sporty. I loved movement, physical activity. I loved to sweat. And I remember finding out and discovering this world of long distance running and being really intrigued and thinking, if these other people can do it, like surely I can do it. And so lo and behold, I went out and did it with like 3 weeks of training under my belt in the mountains. And long story short, I got absolutely obliterated. The only reason I finished was because I signed a contract with myself before the race. Not a physical contract, more so a mental contract. Although a physical one can also work, and I've used that before in the past. I signed the contract in my mind, basically saying I will finish this thing no matter what. Um, Now, there's obviously caveats to that where, if you take a bad fall and you injure yourself or your body isn't prepared and you badly injure yourself, then obviously you're not going to keep on going. But physically, bodily abled, I was going to finish it, and that's exactly what I did. And I remember crying quite a lot and being very emotional in those last few kilometers, because I was thousands of kilometers away from any family or friends in a foreign country, didn't know absolutely anybody. And the fact that I had been through extreme physical pain, I had cramps, like whole body cramps for like the last 10 kilometers. And I just thought that was the norm. I thought, like, this is how people, because I was dehydrated, this is how people do it, and it's part of the process. And anyway, it was a rite of passage and a half, essentially. I learned then and there a very important lessons. Probably one of the most important lesson I've learned to date is that the mind is incredible. The mind is capable of incredible things, and we should never ever underestimate ourselves when it comes to to setting a goal and achieving that. Um, Now, I'm not advocating for people to go out and do an ultra marathon on a whim, because there can be consequences to it. However, I will say that the the learning and the rite of passage almost that a lot of people get, and that I certainly got during that first ultra marathon, is extremely powerful, and it's something that deserves to be spoken about, because I think a lot of people look at, physical endurance sports, and particularly long distance endurance sports, whether it be like triathlons or Ironmans, ultra marathons, long distance swimming events, like things of that sort. And you look at it as an outsider, having never properly experienced it yourself, and you think, that's physical, purely physical. Do I really want to invest the time and effort into creating like this strong body that's going to be able to conquer an event like that? And that is so far from the truth, that it is like a purely physical sport. And most people that have done something physically challenging and hard and long will attest to this. But if you haven't, I I welcome you to question whether that is worth exploring in your own life and whether you could get something out of it. Because for a lot of people, and speaking for me personally, doing ultra marathons, and I've done close to 30 now, each and every one is different and has obviously different levels of difficulty and ease, and the flow of it ebbs and flows. The flow of it ebbs and flows. Anyway, you get the point. Um, but during the really hard ones, and I have had some fucking hard days trying to get to the finish line, you meet a superior version of yourself, and you essentially get handed the two options of, you can go home, you can quit, go home, have a warm shower, and be in bed, knowing that you've failed essentially, and you cut it short. The other option is certainly a harder one when you're in the moment, when you're in that fire and you're suffering deeply. However, the sense of fulfillment and power that gives you, knowing that you are capable of overcoming something extremely challenging, not only physically but more so mentally, that is something that is extremely important and powerful, and it's changed the way I live my life. It's it's something that I apply to all areas of my life. It's like whenever things aren't going well, or I have, doubts and I'm struggling, I can do an ultra marathon. I can have a bit of a rough ride and know that I've come out the other end with this new forged power and grit that is that I can then use. I can then use that same kind of energy and transmute that into other areas of my life, be it relationship, work wise, financially. Um, there's yeah, the list goes on and on. So I think that's something that's often underplayed when it comes to ultra endurance events. And I just yeah, hopefully I've gotten that across, that I want more people to experience that immense pride and power and just yeah, power. Let's just go with the word power that you can feel when you overcome something extremely difficult. And just one last thing, I think when you're in those really dark places, whether it be ultra marathon, anything else, it's kind of applicable to other things in life as well. But with the physical modality, it's extremely raw and visceral versus the mental or emotional or spiritual turmoil that can often come about in other areas in life. So that rawness is like, I feel like I'm stripped back completely of all the layers, and it's pure raw vulnerability. It's just me and my soul trying to finish the damn thing, and that is yeah, that is something that liberates me and really makes me feel a lot of joy and fulfillment in my life. Yeah, if that resonated with you at all, would appreciate any thoughts, feedback. If you have questions or anything of the sort, also more than happy to help out. And also, how beautiful is this place? This is currently where I'm living in Costa Rica. I moved here 3 weeks ago, and yeah, it's pretty damn gorgeous.